Hello, everybody. Doing a little double duty today. So I have two cameras, and that's what we're working with today. So, welcome. If it's your first time being here, I'm Dr. Twanna Carter, and as a career coach, I work with stressed, busy women executives who are plagued by imposter syndrome and doubts and self criticism. And I help them to alleviate their stress so that they can find peace of mind and fully concentrate and focus on excelling in their careers. So I want to welcome everybody. I am on live on Facebook, so welcome. Instagram, they're up there, welcome. And YouTube and Twitter, welcome. And finally, LinkedIn. So I love it when you guys participate, you ladies participate. And so I'm going to have my comments here. And, if I typically answer your comments on air, and if I don't, always be sure to drop them in the comments because I will circle back, and I always circle back to answer your comments. And for those of you who catch this on the replay, thank you as well, because again, I always circle back and answer questions. So today we're talking about the 5 simple strategies to interrupt the prove it again bias at the job, right? And so anybody out there, get my comments up there so I can read. Anybody out there familiar with this type of bias? This type of bias, I should say. It's called prove it again. So if you are not, Joan C. Williams wrote a book with her daughter, Rachel Dempsey, and they identified 4 biases in the workplace, right, that women have to deal with. And actually, she did some more research and came up with the 5th one. And I'm going to throw that one in at the end of it because each week I'll cover these biases, what they are, what they look like, and what you can do to interrupt or get around them. Okay. And so, really, when we talk about the prove it again bias, here's the thing. Especially when women are in workplaces that are typically male dominated, like tech and science and other places, when men come in, right, they are looked at for their potential. He has the potential to be this. I can see the potential. Oh, he's going to be great in this job. Give him enough time. He's going to be wonderful in this job. But when women come in, can have the same level of education, same level of experience, do pretty much the same thing. Well, we gotta wait and see what she does. She's gonna have to prove. I gotta look at her accomplishments. I'm not so sure that she has enough accomplishments. We're gonna have to wait on that, right? So basically, a man is looked at for his potential, but a woman is judged on what she has accomplished. And if people feel she hasn't accomplished enough, then yeah, you need more work, you need more time, right? And so I give you an example of one of the most infamous internationally, one of the most just infamous. And if you will remember, everybody knows Shonda Rhimes, How to Get Away with Murder, Scandal, Grey's Anatomy. That's Shonda Rhimes, right? And so you know that she made Bridgerton from the romance novel. She created this film, made this film Bridgerton. She didn't get one award, not a nod or anything that, in that following January. So what the guy said was, well, she's on Netflix and, I know a lot of people are watching that, but we're going to wait and see what she does next year. And if she nails it next year, we can see our way to, giving her an award and pointing her out for doing great work. It was like on an international stage, the prove it again bias. Yeah, you got Grey's Anatomy. Okay, you got How to Get Away with Murder. Okay, you got Scandal, but we're going to need to see you do that again before we can give you an award, right? That's typically the bias that women work with in the workplace. So you see, it's not just in corporate, it's not just in the, it can be anywhere, Hollywood as well as anywhere else, right? And so again, when men are presumed to be competent and women are, told that they got to do this over and over, every time over and over. Okay. And so there are a couple of patterns to this. I'll tell you that men are judged on their potential and women are judged on their achievements, right? And men's successes are contributed to them. They did what they needed to do because they have this potential and they're competent. But for women, it's either not even remarked upon when they succeed, or she got lucky. That and that's pretty much what they were saying with Shonda Rhimes. She got lucky with Bridget. I'm not so sure she's going to do that again. But if she does, we can see our way to awarding her. But she got lucky on that one. That's one of the patterns that you'll see with the prove it again bias, right? And then sometimes, not sometimes, what you'll have is there'll be these objective requirements to do the job. And for men, if they miss one or two, well, he's got potential, though. I'm sure he meant it, or he took a risk, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for someone that will take risks and get the job done. But a woman is strictly held to the requirements. If she veered left, she veered right. No, no, no. She's not ready. She's not ready. And I've actually been in workplaces and heard people, she's not ready. She made that mistake. She's not ready. Okay. And then some other things when, and you probably have heard this one, women are gossipy. They just gossip in the workplace. But when men get together, they talk business. Yeah, men are just as gossipy as anybody else. I mean, hello. We all do it at some point. Most of us do it at some points, right? And so I wanted to really share with you 5 simple strategies that you can use, having fun here going from camera to camera, but really 5 simple strategies that you can use to interrupt, right, that prove it again bias. And why is it so important to interrupt it? Because it's exhausting. It really becomes exhausting in your career to do something and have to do it again and then prove it again. If you get a new boss, you got to prove it again and again and again. You get a new manager, prove it again. You get a new CEO. It gets exhausting. So today we're going to talk about how do we interrupt this pattern. So number 1 is know thyself. I know most of us don't say thyself anymore, but no, really know thyself. Know what your strengths are. Own them, right? Own your strengths. Own what you know how to do and do it well. None of this, it's no big deal. It's not a big deal. Anybody could probably do it. No, it is something special. It is a big deal. You are a big deal. So definitely acknowledge your skills and what you do well. Acknowledge your strengths. Okay. They're on point. Acknowledge them and be on point with it. And just as important, know what you need to improve upon, right? We all have strengths and we have gaps, some things that we need to work on and improve. Know what yours are, and don't just know what your gaps are. Know the things you need to work on, improve them. Whether you talk to your mentor, whether you do some research surrounding that, whether you read a book, whether you go seek someone out who has the knowledge that you need to get, whether you take another class. Do not hesitate to fill in your gaps. If you don't know it, you can learn it. You're intelligent. You made it as far as you did because you're intelligent, and you'll make it much further because you're intelligent enough to seek resources, right? And so rather than being afraid, I don't know this, so I can't take any stretch assignments because I'm not ready. No. Go fill those gaps and keep it moving, right? Keep it moving. I've had friends tell me, every time I turn around, you're taking a class, you're doing something. When are you going to stop? Never. I'm always learning. Learning excites me. And so make sure that when you have a gap, learn what you need to do to fill the gap. That's all it takes. Number 2, know what the prove it again bias is. We talked about the patterns at the beginning of this. Write those patterns down, because here's what happens. You kind of feel funny, like, that has to be my imagination. But and I've had people say this to me after I've done a presentation or given something or completed a project. This was actually good. Like, I didn't think you would do this well enough. I didn't think you did. And the thing is I've done it time out of mind. So why wouldn't I do it again and do it well? Sometimes we chalk that stuff up to our imagination when it's actually the prove it again bias, right? It is in your face. You can't miss it. Sometimes it's very subtle, right? And sometimes when it's subtle, it's someone telling you that they don't tell you, but they keep asking you the same thing over and over again as if they need to test your knowledge and be sure you know what you know. Yeah, you've only got what 10, 15 years of experience, but someone still feels the need to test you out to be sure you know what you know and how you know it. Whereas you'll see some guy come in with about half your experience, and even less than that in knowledge, and he's just pushed on through the process. That's the prove it again bias. That's how it shows up, right? And sometimes people are like puzzled, like, oh, you did a good job on this. Like, I wasn't expecting that. That's what it sounds like. Again, sometimes it's subtle and sometimes it really is in your face, right? And so that's number two. Understand what the prove it again bias, what the patterns are, what it looks like, and what it sounds like, right? Number three, assert yourself. And I know this is tough. I have social anxiety and I'm an introvert, right? And so I just sometimes really don't mind sitting in the back of their room, chilling and just observing. It is what I do best, right? I have been an observer all my life. I'll sit in that corner, sit on the side somewhere, maybe not in the back. I'll sit somewhere else. And I just like to observe what's going on. So when it comes to asserting myself, I really had to do a lot of work to understand to how to assert myself, to figure out that it was necessary, but to actually do it. So yes, when you're in meetings, you have an idea, toss it out there, assert yourself, right? Ask for stretch opportunities. Don't wait and say, well, I got to be perfect before I do this. And I have to know every single thing in the book there is to know before I can do this. No, ask for an assignment that will stretch you out of your comfort zone. It's the way to grow, build your confidence, build your self-esteem. And yes, you'll have to prove it again that you know, but it is a great way to do that with those stretch assignments, right? And keep a greatest hits list. These are the things that you do well, the projects you've worked on, the people you work with. If you get an email where someone says, hey, I couldn't have done this without you, thank you so much. Do not hesitate to send your boss an email and say, hey, know that again, this person's really happy. They're going to be here for a while with us. They really like our product, depending on what you do. Shoot your boss an email. Don't be afraid to trumpet what you do and you've done well. And this is a way to do it without sounding obnoxious, right? But also keep a list, keep a file on in your Outlook or email, whatever you're using, with those emails where people say, hey, great job, or can you help me with this? I appreciate you taking that time out. Those are your greatest list of hits. And so someone says, I will give this to you, but I think you need more time because you haven't. Now you have this list that you can pull from. You have a list of emails and you have a list of projects that you've already done well. You can say, yes, well, really, because I worked on this project and I was actually commended by such and such and such. So I'll send you that email. I'll send you that email because it's a great way to remind them. So yes, you're trumpeting yourself, but it's not obnoxious because sometimes women feel like, I don't want to be obnoxious. I don't want to sound like a jerk and I don't want to sound rude because you'll look over the aisle at your male compadres who are sometimes a jerk and they do sound rude. So you don't have to trumpet yourself in that manner, but you do need to keep that greatest list of your hits, right? Keep that list of them. And then certainly be confident of your skills and your experiences. And this is especially important when you're sitting in a group format and you say something and it kind of just falls flat. But then 5 minutes later, some dude says the same exact thing, maybe add a word or two what you said, and everybody's going like, yeah, strong, hey, good job. Assert yourself and say, I'm glad you agreed with me because I said it, whatever, do it, professionally, but do be assertive about it. Like, wow, hey, Bob, I'm glad you agreed with that because that was just a thought when I said that a few minutes ago. That's exactly what I was saying, right? And then number four rather goes hand in hand with that. If someone steals your idea, build alliances at your job. Very, very important to build alliances of men and women because we all know that not all men are jerks. Not all of them are stealing your ideas, right? And really, you have some women like that too. But do work on building alliances because this is when you sit in a meeting and you say something and it just kind of goes under the radar. But 5 minutes later, the guy says and everybody's clapping. your alliance can say, hey, I'm glad that you recognize that Cheryl said it 5 minutes ago and she hit the nail on the head, right? That's what your alliances can do for you. Your alliances can also stop you from feeling like you're isolated and alone. You have a group of people who see what you see and they hear what you hear, right? And really, you can support each other in that workplace, right? It's much easier to professionally address prove it again bias when you have allies, because sometimes you can agree that, hey, if this happens, the ally will say that, and then you piggyback on what the ally says. And then, of course, vice versa. If the ally is having those same issues, you agree to support her or him. And then number 5 is really important. It's just as important as all the rest of them. Know when enough is enough. Because one of the things for sure that you'll have to do, as you know, in the prove it again bias, you'll have to keep proving it again. You will have to do that. But for women, it can kind of go overboard. We already have a tendency to be self-critical of ourselves. We already have a tendency to sometimes doubt ourselves more than men do, right? When you find yourself needing to prove it again and again and again, right? It builds up stress. It can build up your doubt. You can start to wonder and worry about how, you start to worry about everything, every smirk on the face that you saw, every comment, every look, every project, every detail. You can start to obsess over every single thing. And when you do that, your stress level is up and you will tend to be burned out. You'll move into the burnout zone. One thing for sure, if you're in burnout zone, you're going to make mistakes. You just are. You just are. So the thing is understand when enough, approving it again in that place, when enough is enough, it's time to look for something else in a different space, right? You haven't failed. You haven't given up. Your mental health is more important than any job. Every day and twice on Sunday. My stylist says that. I always take that from Giovanni, twice on Sunday. But your mental health and your mental fit is just better. It's more important than proving it again and again, so much so that you start to doubt, have self-criticism, the imposter syndrome kicks in, and you start to burn out. And now you're making mistakes because you're so freaked out and so high anxiety and so high and stress is so high. And then it starts to affect your physical health and your mental health. So know when enough is enough, right? And just leave, right? That's why we have career coaches. That's why we're here. When it is enough and enough, and it is time to move on to the next job, you don't have to like quit that day. Some people got it like that. You have money saved up, and you can just say 2 weeks notice, I'm going to take the next month off and find something else. Some people are like that, but for most people, they're not. Do invest in a career coach. Invest in you by investing in a career coach to find your next best level somewhere else. Now, if you can move to another job where you are in your organization and not have this burnout feeling and feel the need to prove it again and again, great. But if not, we help you find something else elsewhere so that you can avoid this pattern, right? But so that was a 5 ways, right, to interrupt the prove it again pattern. Now, if you're here and you heard this, right, and it just really, really resonates with you, and you're looking for some career guidance and you're looking for career coaching, go ahead and set up a 15-minute complimentary career solution call with me, right? We'll talk about where you are, talk about what your goals are. I share with you what I do, and then if I'm absolutely certain that I can help you, I tell you how to get started with the next steps. All you need to do is drop career in the comments, and I'll reach out to you, right? Easy peasy, simple enough. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. So be back here next week when we're going to talk about the next bias, and that's the tug of war bias. So, hey, Jill, how are you? Thanks for hopping on. See Jill over here. So I have my Instagram is live on one camera on my iPhone, and then everyone else is live on my Mac. So I thank everybody, right, for hanging in there, watching me again. Those of you who caught the replay, thank you. And I will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat place, 8:35 p.m. Next week, I'll be in Arizona, but it'll still be 8:35 p.m. Eastern time, right? I'll be in Arizona, but I'll still be doing it at the same time. Take care, everybody. Enjoy your evening.